All right, guys, welcome back. Welcome back. Here we go. It's still Thursday, 4:50 p.m. Just got back from the gym. Feel great. Still pumped up. Just cooling down before I start prepping. Prepping the meal, prepping my dinner. I'm gonna do some ground beef. Gonna do. I might do some rice or a baked potato. Anyway, here we go. So I just want to speak about my best and my worst experiences in life. Right. I guess my happiest and my worst experiences in life. So we'll start with the best, the happiest moment. There were many. There were definitely many. I think one of the most that I could think of right now, the most genuine happiest time was the day I got out of rehab, the day I got released from rehab because I worked so hard to get to that point, right? Rehab for 4 months. Going in was one of the worst days, man. I still remember it. Still remember like the last 48 hours prior to me going into rehab was a lot went on at that time, but it was definitely one of the worst times. Getting out was amazing for many reasons. I think while I was in there for the 4 months, I was super productive. I got to work on myself, like put genuine work in myself. I went in there broken and it came out just, I guess, somewhat fixed in a way, right? I'm still an addict. I'll always be an addict. When I was there, I put in so much work. I did so much. I made sure I took care of so much while I was in there to make life easier when I got out. The plan was to work at the rehab, to be a recovery support specialist at the rehab I was at. They were impressed so much. I was like facilitating meetings. I think the last 2 months there, they were short staffed. I mentioned in one of my videos, they allowed me to take a class at the University of Arizona. It was only a month, but they let me take a class to be a recovery support specialist. So I got my RSS certification. I kind of volunteered myself as well. I'm like, if you guys need help facilitating groups, for my fellow rehab mates or whatever, right? Let me know. And they took me up on that offer. I was just chilling in bed, like in between groups, just chilling in my bed. I had a little stereo, and I was just laying down, looking at the ceiling, just brainstorming. You know me, man. I'm a thinker. Anyway, I facilitated my first group there, and it was fun. It just came natural to me. They gave me a list of papers and got to choose a certain topic. I started the meeting off, you know, shared a little bit about myself because we had some new clients there too. So I opened up, shared a little bit about myself. Then I went into the topic, and then we just went around the room and I listened and I provided feedback for each person there. So that was a great, great moment just due to the amount of work I put in on myself physically, mentally. I repaired some friendships, relationships while I was in there, all from the phone. They were able to notice a difference in me pre rehab and definitely in rehab and after rehab. So, also, I guess there was a huge fear of the unknown, but that was just a motivating factor for me to just to make sure I was ready, right? Just to make sure I took advantage of every second while I was there. Had a beautiful routine. Woke up at 4 in the morning, was working out by 4:30, and then we had breakfast, first chow for the day, right? Breakfast like at 7 o'clock, something like that. I got to work with a really great counselor. We met once a week, and he helped me prepare, right? He gave me some insight and helped me prepare as to my plan for when I got out. So it was really cool strategizing, expressing myself, and hearing some feedback. It was really cool. Just a beautiful blessing, man. Like things didn't work out because in regards to working at that rehab because I had a year clean, and I was when I got out I had 4 months clean. So about a month after that, I got a job at another place as a life coach. Did that for a year and a half. So that was probably one of my happiest times in my life. There's so many. So many little things, right? In regards to my dogs, in regards to girls, like being in love, right? I've only been in love like a few times, 3, 4 times, something like that. But yeah, I mean, those are some great times too, right? Being in love. I haven't did a video dedicated about love yet because I just haven't. So yeah, we'll close that portion out as far as my happiest time when I got out of rehab. I'd say the worst time, aside from my parents' divorce, that floored me, right? But that wasn't the worst time in my life. That was up there. That's probably top three. And me being an addict, I was addicted to H for opiates, I should say, for about 13 years. That wasn't my worst time. Like trying Vicodin for the first time, that wasn't the worst time of my life because I had no idea what I was getting into. You know, I was in a rough spot when I tried it. And that just fixed everything temporarily. I just felt good. Like I felt nice, warm, and fuzzy, whatever. That wasn't the worst time of my life because I had no idea what I was getting into. But the worst time, I'm going to have to say, was after I got sentenced from jail. They sent me to classification. That was the first prison I went to. I was there for about a week, week and a half. And that was in Phoenix. So they took me in a bus early in the morning, like at 2:30, hopped on the Pima County jail van, took me to Phoenix for classification when I got sentenced to prison. I was there for about a week, week and a half. And then from there, they took us on a bus all the way to from Phoenix to southern Tucson to a prison called Wilmot. I was there for a night, and then we went from Wilmot to Douglas, Arizona. So that was from Tucson, from Wilmot, was about a good 2.5, 3 hours on the bus from Wilmot to Douglas. What was the worst part was after we hopped on the prison van or the prison bus, we were passing through Tucson. And off to the right, off in the distance, I could see like a certain part of town where I lived, right? I could see, just knowing that my house was in that direction, only a few miles away from us on the freeway. I got to see that. I was like, my dog is there right now. My dog doesn't know I'm on this bus, and we're passing by. And I could see my area of town off in the distance. I'm not far from home, right? And we just kept passing and passing and passing off to the right. And then boom, I couldn't see it anymore. And I knew for a fact I was not going to see Tucson for a long time, at least a year, but I wasn't going to be in the vicinity, my comfort zone, right, at my house. I wasn't going to see anything that I saw at that moment for about a year because I was headed to prison for a year. I got sentenced to a year. Well, I got sentenced to 2 years, but with back time and the 85% that we have to do, the 2 years got chopped down to a year. So I only had to do 12 months. It was a huge teaser to be on that bus on the freeway, just passing by, seeing my neighborhood off in the distance, knowing my dog was there. You guys know how I am about my dogs. They're everything. I just felt super defeated. I knew there was nothing I could do. That was a real rough time for me. The only time I cried when I was in prison was probably the first 2 weeks I was there. I'd received some mail and there were pictures of my dogs. I remember I opened that letter, just shuffling through the pictures, saw all the pictures of my dogs. I just started busting out in tears, not bawling, but just tearing up. One of the homies that was with me, I was showing him pictures, sharing them with him, and he saw me cry. Like, you're not supposed to cry when you're locked up, especially in prison. That's like a sign of weakness, right? But he was tight with me, and I was there for him when his mom died, like months down. His mom died while he was in prison. But me tearing in front of this guy and for him just to be supportive, that was really cool. He's like, come on, homie, there's no crying in baseball. Just trying to cheer me up, make me laugh. And it did, right? And I just had to get serious real quick and control my emotions because there was nothing I could do. But that bus ride, I'll never forget that bus ride. I knew I wasn't going to see Tucson. I knew I wasn't going to see my city. I knew I wasn't going to see my dog, any family, friends, nothing for about a year. So Those are probably some of the best and some of the worst times. Thanks for listening.